Hello people. Hey guys. Thank you so much to everybody who is joining and welcome here with my two hands. You're so welcome. So just tell me where you are joining me from, your name and where you're joining from. You're very extremely welcome, and I'm really honored to be having you guys in the next 30 minutes. Hello everybody. Hey Thelma, how are you? Long time dear. Okay, so let's just get into it. So I'm the person behind this page, advocate of positive mindset. For my personal information, my name is Ropafadzo. I'm an undergraduate at the University of Cape Town in the Faculty of Humanities. So when it comes to my passion is to help people know the reason why they are here. Because I believe everybody was born for a purpose, as the Bible said, that I created you for a purpose, in which I've created for you in advance. So there's no harm in knowing it. And if you don't know the reason why you are here, you struggle to adjust being here. As long as you know why you're here, you have a reason to live. You see, those are also the reasons why people are committing suicide, aren't they? Because they don't know their purposes. They don't know the reason why they are here. They don't have anything or any reason to wake up in the morning. So that's also one of the most fundamental things that you can ever have. Knowing your purpose, being determined, being focused is one of the essential things. It helps you to cope with every life stage. In life, you always face problems. We can never say, now I'm done with problems. I'll never face problems in the future. Because life, in as much as we know, we really like to plan things and say, after A, I'm going to do B, after B, I'm going to do C. But when there's reality out there, there's reality. You cannot have everything, one, and all your dreams cannot be fulfilled just because of we are not in control. So you can submit your papers, or let's say maybe for us who are foreign students. Let's say maybe you are from Zimbabwe like me and you want to study in Canada. There are criteria that you have to fulfill, and your dream was to study in Canada and do another program. So if that is not fulfilled just because you're not in control, then you think life is over. We have to understand that in life we cannot get everything that we want. But that is where we get to the point of being resilient, being persevere, be able to persevere. There are always stop signs in the road. There is no way you can travel your journey and meet there is no such thing like that. There will always be stop signs in the road. But what you need to do is to know your beginning. Know your ending. You have to know the reason why you're doing this. So let's say maybe you have a dream that you want to fulfill. And the journey of fulfilling your dreams, you will meet some circumstances. You meet some things that are telling you to stop. But as long as you know the ending, you know you want to achieve this thing. So you won't even look back. And even if people are saying it's not possible, you won't look back. Even if you face a stop sign, you won't stop. Why? Because you know your ending. You know the reason why you're here. You know the goals you want to fulfill. And hence you won't have the power to move back. Because you are very powerful. For me, if I tell you, in as much as life always tries its best to pull me down, but I always say to myself, no, I have to do this. And I do it regardless. So that's one of the essential things that anybody can ever get. Let's say maybe there are diseases out there. Today you might be very healthy. Tomorrow a disease can come. You can be diagnosed with TB. You can be diagnosed with HIV. You can be diagnosed with any disease that you can think of. But it doesn't mean that that is the end of life. There's still life after there. Still life out there. Why? Because being diagnosed with HIV doesn't mean your purpose has stopped. It doesn't mean that. Strength comes from facing those problems. If you face those problems and achieve them, that is where your strength comes. But if you don't face them, that is your limitation. And you are making your limitation grow and grow to the extent that you won't be able to fulfill your goals. Understand this. Your goals are very, very important to yourself. It doesn't have to be important to anybody. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody. As long as it makes sense to you, that is enough. That is enough. You don't need assurance from anybody to come and say, this is important, go for it. You don't need to have anybody in your back. Even if you don't have a back, God will always be faithful to put people in your life who will help you in the way. The secret is just to begin. Just begin it. Don't overthink it. Just begin it. Right? Don't be afraid. Face your fears. If you don't face your fears, I'm telling you, it will always limit you. It will always limit you. Do not be afraid to walk your path alone. Even if it means that there is no one who's going to walk with you in that path. Be that strong enough to push the doors. You don't have to find the doors open for you to come in. Push those doors. Push the doors. Let yourself come in. There is no straight path. There is no straight path. There will always be gaps. There will always be stop signs. Be that powerful. Believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you are unstoppable. You are unstoppable. So that is one of my passion. So today we have a Gurent house. His name is Dorian Basson. He's a motivational speaker for HIV and AIDS. We had started a live previously, but there was a glitch in the network. So the video we had disconnected. So we are now continuing, and Dorian had introduced himself. I'm just gonna help him introduce. Like I said, his name is Dorian Basson. He's a motivational speaker and also the founder of the Red Ribbon Foundation, which deals with helping people with HIV and AIDS how to adjust to it, giving support and stuff. And also is a second year social work student at the University of Cape Town. So we have him in the house to help us, to educate us about what is HIV, what is AIDS. In as much as we think we know, you'll be surprised that you don't know anything and you thought you know. So we had discussed about literally about himself, who he is, before we had disconnected. So we are now continuing. We are starting to discuss about what is HIV and what is AIDS. We most often use it interchangeably, but it's not. HIV is its own meaning and it stands on its own, whereas AIDS is its also own meaning. So he had started to explain about that. So I'm just gonna invite him now. I'm sure he's in the house, so I'm just gonna invite him now. Dorian, if you can hear me clearly, I'm just gonna send you an invitation. So what you just have to do is to click on the screen to accept that invitation, and you will be there. Guys, can you please bear with us and be here in the next 30 minutes? Yeah, so Dorian, I'm just gonna send you an invitation right now. Oh, yeah. I'm very, very sorry for the glitch in the network. I tried to send people the link, so I think that's where the glitch came from. So I'm very, very, very sorry for that.
No problem.
That's the thing about technology. It does whatever it does to do. So yeah,
I,
I'm sure the last one was recorded. So yeah, I'll just join it. I'll just video edit and join everything. So you were talking about HIV and AIDS,
yes.
and you're talking about the symptoms of HIV and AIDS, the symptoms. Yeah, I think I need to hear that. Yeah,
So
that from
there's
the
a
moment that
distinct difference. There's a distinct difference between the two. In
um,
that, HIV really, and it takes it takes a few years. It takes sometimes up to 10 years before you can actually display symptoms of actually being sick.
yeah,
And I think the important part for individuals to remember is that in order for you to know your status, you need to go and get yourself tested. That really is the
yeah,
only way that you are going to be able to know whether or not you are HIV positive. Um, when we talk about AIDS or someone having moved over to the AIDS phase of HIV, it really
mm,
is where the immune system has become so weak, and the viral load or the amount of virus within the individual's body is to such a degree that the body, the immune system is not able to fight if there are infectious diseases or illnesses that they acquire. So say for example, um, someone stops taking their ARVs, the amount of virus or the viral load then increases, um, and that obviously then makes them susceptible to various illnesses and infections. And so, say for example, that individual contracts pneumonia, um, the body is not going to be strong enough, to fight off, pneumonia like a normal person probably would be able
mm,
to fight off,
mm,
you know, um, such a illness. And so that really is the distinct difference between the two. And so when you refer to someone as um, having AIDS, and this really was very relevant 16, 17 years ago. This year we celebrate 40 years of the first time that HIV was discovered. And
mm.
so the frequent thing that someone would say is, oh no, he has AIDS, or no, she has AIDS. And the reality is that that person could be so far from that stage of HIV.
Okay, okay.
And I think it is very important that specific distinction between the two terms is highlighted.
Yeah, yeah.
That answers your
Mm.
question.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a well did answer. I didn't even also know that there was a difference between the two. Okay, so you talked about a person can even have HIV, but it might carry on with the symptoms for years and years. So, what can you really advise to people? I know there are people out there who may be suspicious that they have HIV or they have AIDS, but they don't want to go and get tested. They are reluctant to go and get tested because maybe they are afraid or whatever. So, what can you really say to those people? What can you advise them to do?
The first thing I would say is that you cannot be afraid of the unknown. You
Yeah.
can't be afraid of something you don't know about. And
Mm,
so many people, especially within the rural communities, because of the culture which dictates, and this is specifically, male figures within in communities. you know um we often say the man is a strong individual, he doesn't get sick, he doesn't cry. And
mm,
so when we look at those individuals, they are 10 to 1 walking around not
yeah.
knowing their state, and they are so afraid to actually go and just get tested. And that of why we are currently standing on it's 7.7 million people that are infected within this country. It is because people don't know their status and they still go around sleeping around,
Yeah.
not protecting themselves. And so to those individuals who haven't gone and gotten their test, I would say to them, don't be afraid of the unknown. You know,
Yeah.
HIV is a chronic, manageable chronic condition. I think I am living proof that you are able to live a long, healthy, positive life. So many of my activist friends, they also they're living long lives, and so it's about managing your condition really more than
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think fear is big. That's also the area that I talk about. That when you don't face your fears, it becomes your limits. It limits you, and you cannot go anywhere if you don't face your fears. And strength always comes from facing those things. So I really resonate with whatever that you have told. So I think you also talked in the previous, before we cut this video, that of your story. I think you had given a hint there. So we're not going to do to go in detail about it, but can you just tell me, how did you overcome this to be the strong man who is now able to, you see, the one so far and able? How did you become resilient and be able to persevere?
Wow. Okay. So, 16 years ago, I was a second year student. I was at UWC. I was studying BCom General, and I was not very far from my house when I was attacked by a unknown individual, and he had dragged me into the bushes, and he had, we call it sexual assault, but it really was, he raped me. And that very same night, I had a mental breakdown, and I landed up at Lentuke Psychiatric Hospital. And being the person that I was 16 years ago,
Yeah.
I was I knew that I was gay, and so I blamed what I was going through, because no one could understand, because I was one of the top students at UWC. And so I
Okay.
blamed me being gay on what I was going through mentally. But the harsh reality was that I had been raped, and I was so ashamed of it, and I did not want to about it. And so I think years later, when I look at that boy, I think I was 21 or 22 when it had happened. Years later, I want to just say to that boy that it's gonna be okay. Your bounce
Yeah.
back time is so much better than that single event which has happened to you years ago. I think through the years, I've built up a resilience um, that sometimes surprises even me. My resilient spirit sometimes does surprise even me. Um, and it's not been an easy journey, but I am where I am today because of my
Of
faith
course.
and
Yeah.
absolutely amazing circle of friends. And really my family, they continue to support me in absolutely everything I do. And so that really is how I've overcome. One of the things which happened, as a gay individual, I fell in love. And
Okay.
I remember that I was about 24, and I was so ashamed of the fact that I was HIV positive, because at that stage still no one knew.
Oh, yeah.
And that individual, I remember the day that individual had asked me to date him. I didn't know how I was going to tell him that I was HIV positive, and I laid with my back towards him, and I I said to him what had happened to me years ago, that I was, that I'd been sexually assaulted, and, that I was HIV positive all these years, and it had been about 4 or 5 years then. And that individual showed me, and if you see my Instagram, if you see my Facebook posts, I speak about love beyond HIV and AIDS. It is because
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
individual
Mm-hmm.
was able to show me that the minute I was able to love myself beyond the very small virus which was within my body,
Yeah. Mm.
I would be able to live a life that is full of gratitude and love and happiness. And so I think that, my entire journey, that really has been that's what my entire journey has been about. It's been about this love beyond HIV and AIDS. Not that I just experienced from that individual around the world. I call them my anchors. I call them my
Oh,
pillars.
mm,
Because
mm,
through
mm.
the day, they get me through the day.
Oh wow, you're so strong, I can see. And I also think that's also the importance of personal development because as you develop yourself, you get also to know your life purpose and you get to be determined. And you get to a point when you're diagnosed with whatever disease, whatever situation, you have the power to keep on fighting. You always have the power to keep on going because you know you have a purpose. But when you maybe a situation hit you, you lost your job, and then you think the life is over, it's because you also like self development. You think the life is over, but a person who knows that I was born for a purpose, who always strive through to make it at the end of the day, because what he sees is the end and not the beginning. So I'm really happy that you did find your purpose and that today, even today, you're still able to stand and fight back with it. So I really resonate with you there.
Mm.
So people also think maybe there is no help out there. They think maybe, yeah, like you say that when you also hear that, you thought, oh, my life is over. While I'm over.
You know what?
So,
That is the first thing people think about
mm,
when they receive that diagnosis, is, they think that their life is over. And I want to tell those
mm,
people that I also thought that. Please, I think, when you are diagnosed HIV positive, the first thing that comes into your mind is the fact that, you're going to die. And I want to
mm,
say to those individuals, I want to say 16 years ago, it was okay to think that,
yeah,
because the medical advances that have, and the medical, the medical field is really advanced in terms of HIV. And so 16 years ago, it was absolutely okay.
mm,
Now, no, you know,
mm,
all I can tell those individuals is your life is not over. It's like I say
yeah,
to
yeah,
people, my life really started with my HIV diagnosis. I say it unequivocally. It started when I was diagnosed, because then I learned to be grateful for every day
mm, mm,
I have. And so now when people inbox me and want counseling and want me to walk with them on their journey, you know, there's a certain thing which happens, as I journey with them, and they too realize that their life has just started, really.
mm,
HIV is
mm.
no longer a death sentence. It really is just a manageable chronic condition. You need to take your ARVs every day. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
when I started on ARVs, and I was given no, I literally received my diagnosis, went up to hospital, did the blood test. The next day, I got started on ARVs. There was no time for me to process what was happening. And so I started off on four poles, and
Okay.
so for 13 years, 13, 14 years, I was on four poles. I was taking four poles until earlier this year when my doctors, I changed doctors, and the doctors, why are you still on the old regime? And I'm like, because no one ever changed it. And then he's like, and it works for me. And he's like, and he could not believe that I was positive for 16 years because I look so good. Let me
Yeah,
just
yeah,
say.
so good. Like,
So, so, so he's like, and he took my file and he's like, no,
mm,
we have to change you to the new regime. And so for the first time in 14, 13 years, I now take one pill a day. I pop it in the
oh,
morning and it's done. And what I
wow, so that's good news.
and 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 I'd also, with that, it made me realize how privileged, I'm going to actually say it, how privileged
Yeah.
people are that are diagnosed
Mm,
nowadays.
mm, mm, mm,
You have
mm, mm.
one pill. You have one pill. Yes, we still
Yeah.
have that word stigma that I
Mm,
test the word. We still have stigma surrounding HIV. But it's opportunities like this that we are given to kind of break down the conditioning walls that
yeah.
society pulls up around individuals that live with HIV. And so, yeah, that really is that's it for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
I
the
think,
medical field is so advanced. If you are diagnosed, yes, it might seem like a death sentence, but I think myself and so many other individuals are proof that it isn't.
I truly agree with you. I truly agree. I think also problem doesn't have to stop you. It doesn't have to stop you. You have to keep on going. You have to keep on going.
Uh,
So you also talked about stigma. How do you really deal with that? Does it break you when if people stigmatize you? Do you break? Do you go in the room? I'm sure at
I
the beginning you'd go in the room and cry stuff.
oh
How do
no,
you do that?
I am I just a very good friend of mine, you know Bernadette Bailey once said,
Mm,
HIV is life changing, but it is not life limiting. And so
mm,
I
mm.
do not let my life be limited by the stigma I experience.
Yeah.
And it is so sad that I have to address it, as a topic, as an issue. It is really
Mm,
sad that I have to address stigma. Um, and stigma comes from individuals not being educated. And so when you're
yeah.
not educated about something,
Mm.
society still
You
feels
feel
the need
impact.
to speak about
Yeah.
something they don't really know about. And that really is where stigma comes from. And so, if I think of the instances where I've been stigmatized, um, I think that, it really is from within my own community as such. And
Mm.
that sometimes is the saddest part, is that we don't allow ourselves, you don't allow other people to. I think that is our biggest problem, is that we're not educated and we do not allow others to be. We do not allow others to live their lives for themselves, you know.
Mm.
And when I had come out as a gay HIV positive individual so many years ago, um,
Mm.
the biggest problem for me was that I was scared of what people were going to say about me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was scared that I was going to get a boyfriend. I was scared that I wasn't going to live happily ever after.
Mm.
Until I realized that, you know what, um, that's someone else's lack of knowledge. Got
Yeah. Their
nothing,
problem is their problem, not
got
yours.
absolutely nothing to do with me. And it's not
Yeah.
always easy for, it's not always easy for an individual to be able to be that strong to say, I don't care about your lack of knowledge. It's got nothing to do with it. Doesn't what you think does not reflect what's in here. And so I think I was strong enough to be able to stand up and say that, and not many people are. But I always say to people, educate yourself before you say something. Educate yourself, and even to the individuals that come to me and say, "Oh, we're HIV positive," and our world is it. The first thing I say to them is, "What do you know about HIV?"
Yeah.
The first thing I say to them.
Don't know
And if they
anything.
say nothing, then I say, okay, go and I give them references to go read it, and they need to come back and actually prove to me that they actually know what's going on inside their body before I am able to take them or before I'm able to walk with them on their journey.
Yeah, I
Because
totally reason.
your lack of knowledge will increase your self-stigma more than anything else.
I think we are often so easily to judge others. We don't know ourselves, but we judge others. And I also think that loving yourself is also essential. I think stigma is everywhere. Even maybe stigma around your body shaming is there, and stigma is always there. But if you love yourself, you won't even look back or to listen to who's talking, because you are focused, and you are focused, your determined
It's
is
not
to
just
look
about
forward.
people that are HIV positive. It's so many people, who are marginalized within society. They walk around with self stigma, and that self
Mm,
stigma comes from what society dictates to
yeah.
individuals.
Mm,
Those
mm,
conditioning walls that is around so many of us. It needs to be broken down. And the only way we
mm,
are able
mm.
to break it down is when individuals like yourself and so many others stand up and say, you know what, let's kind of change the narrative here.
Yeah. It's time to change it. You have to forget the story and set up the new story. And I also think that what we often think about what would people say is what is limiting us. That is really limiting us to move forward. Because we often think, what if I do this? Oh, how is my friend going to react from this? Just do you, just be you, and just do whatever you believe in.
Just
I
you
think if
gotta
you
just
believe
be
in,
you. You gotta just be you. I stopped thinking about what other people would think about me.
yeah,
Um,
mm,
Years ago, I stopped thinking about that. I stopped
yeah,
because I would remain a prisoner forever, and
yeah,
yeah, remain a
mm.
prisoner
I
forever.
don't think about
But
anyone else.
and
If
I'd
it
be in
makes
prison
sense
by
to you, then it
spouse's
doesn't have to
court,
make
not me. She's freezing. Are you there?
There's a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah, I am,
Yeah.
I am. I think that was just it. So I also think that sorry, that was a new thing. And why did I want to say? I forget what I was saying today. But yeah, I'll say that on 1 December you celebrate the World's Day. What is all about? Because we are almost 1 December and would like to enjoy and celebrate with you guys. So can you share what it is really about?
I didn't quite get that.
1 December. I hear that you celebrate your the World's Day or what 1 December. So
Oh,
what is the day about?
so on the 5th of December is my anniversary. I will be celebrating 16 years of being HIV positive.
Okay.
The 5th of December, and that really is just after World AIDS Day. And
Okay.
so I think my message to all of those individuals in the world and watching is, first of all, if you haven't gotten yourself tested yet, please go out and get yourself tested. Um, Knowing your status, you'll be able to manage your condition if you are HIV positive. If you're not HIV positive, we know festive season is coming up, and it always comes with good times.
Mm,
Protect
mm.
yourself. I mean, condomize, the ABC, abstain for those who can't abstain, be faithful, um, con-
Yeah, at least
be
be faithful.
faithful, be faithful, and then condomize, it's the ABC of life, guys. Just really.
Yeah.
If anything else, if you're looking at other ways of protecting yourself, if you don't like using a condom, I did tell you this conversation was going to be real. So if you don't like using a condom, and we call it in the LGBTI community, we call it, if you like doing BB, if you like, then there's something called PrEP. Put yourself on PrEP. Yes, PrEP comes with a whole lot of other things. You've got to monitor, your liver and your kidneys, because obviously it's a drug that works through that. But prophylaxis is the way to go. It's a little pill. You pop it in the
Yeah.
morning, and it protects you from getting infected. Um, the HIV stats should not be rising anymore. That is
Yeah.
just point done, Cla. There is too much out there for you to protect yourself. And so the sad reality is that the stats are still rising, and the stats are rising within the rural communities where the stigma is rife. And so that would be my message, as I go and I start my countdown to my 16 years of living life positively. That would be my
Oh,
message.
yeah.
Follow the ABC rule, and if all else fails, put yourself on PrEP. I often say it's best to protect yourself, and by protecting yourself, you're protecting others.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming into this live. I was really honored to have you here. And now I just get to see that I don't even know HIV, I don't even know AIDS, because you have so much that you even know. Like me, I'm left like silent. So thank you so much. It was a
Thank you.
great honor. Can you continue doing the job, continue making a difference? And we often think that it's the end of life, but it's just the beginning. It has just begun. So I really thank you. Go and spread the positivity in around all the world and educate people. So I really thank you so much for having you here. Until next
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. And just in closing, like I said to my peeps that know me, from my red ribbon to yours, life is beautiful. Be grateful every day for
Yeah.
opportunity to,
Mm.
you know, um, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, be grateful. It is hard to be grateful. Often want to, when you have something, you now want to have another to be on the another level, but you often forget to be so grateful. And yeah, I'm gonna keep on having you here because you have more to say. But
Okay.
today we're gonna end here.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much,
much.
ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.